Hello everyone and welcome back to Infantry only Fire Emblem 4, the only Fire Emblem Let's Play series on YouTube that suddenly stopped for a long period of time and then actually gets back to where it left off. Last time, I don't fucking know, this was like several months ago. It was 1 month ago. And what happened was we did Chapter 6, started Generation 2, and now we're going to go on to the next chapter of Generation 2, that being Passing the Desert. The chapter where not only do we need to keep Leif alive from impending death, but we also need to traverse a very boring trek through a desert. Yeah, not gonna lie, this is not one of my favorite chapters in the game. In fact, I think it might actually be my least favorite. But hey, before we get into this chapter, we need to talk about what we have to talk about before every goddamn chapter, the arena. Now, the arena is actually much easier to do in Generation 2. This is because your units have inheritance, better weapons, and are just all around better combat units than Gen 1. So the arena goes by much easier for everyone, and almost everyone is able to just clear it outright. So there are some exceptions. Julia and Yohalavir are going to struggle a little bit, but overall we can just get everyone with a fuck ton of money and a fuck ton of experience, which means promotions and all can come much sooner, which is going to be very helpful on a run when we are purposefully crippling ourselves. Beginning of the chapter, we meet our two anti-turtle incentives, two new units, Patty and Shannon, who are separated from the group and surrounded by dark magic using fuckers. Now, Patty is just like Dew. Pretty horrendous combat early on, even if you give her great inheritance, but when she promotes, she becomes good enough. Shannon, meanwhile, is going to be one of the cornerstones of our army, as he's a pre-promoted swordsmaster with a holy weapon. The only problem is, with his starting inventory, that holy weapon is kind of the only weapon he can use, which means even with the ease of arena in this generation, he's gonna tear through gold like no one's business, so do keep that in mind. The steel blade isn't the best for him, as its weight tends to weigh him down to where he stops dodging attacks reliably, but you gotta do what you gotta do. And when you're surrounded with only a little girl thief to help, you're gonna have to use your holy weapon. Now, on the other edge of the map, we have our other group of anti-turtle incentives. You know what, no, I'm going to call them what they are, anti-turtle incentives, Leif, Finn, and Nana. Now, what you're supposed to do here is have Leif and Nana cower in a corner while Finn slaughters everything. But we can't do that due to the whole no horse requirement. So we're going to have Finn and Nana cower in a corner while Leif slaughters everything. And I was really worried about this particular bit more than anything else, but as it turns out, I forgot how weak the Armor Knights sent in really are. Leif really is never at a point where he's in danger. The only thing I'm afraid of is them constantly just ignoring Leif and going after Finn and Nana, but where I kept them seems to work well enough for me. And this is going to be the last I talk about these three for this entire chapter, because it's going to get really boring for me to just say, oh yeah, and while I'm doing this, Leif's just kind of vibing. So yeah, we're not going to come back to this. Just know that after every single turn, Leif kills some Armor Knights. Okay, so with all of that out of the way, we can finally get out of the castle after, dear God, 3 minutes? I feel like that's some kind of record for this channel. Anyways, once we get out of the castle, the first thing we have to deal with is a fuck ton of dark magic users, which actually is a decent challenge. They're pretty bulky, so you can't just one-shot them very easily, and they do magic damage. And remember, this is a Kaga game, so resistance isn't real. So this does provide a decent challenge to get rid of, but as long as you play a little bit safe, you'll be alright. Though Shannon and Leif are supposed to be anti-turtle incentives, they're pretty safe on their own, so you don't actually have to worry that much. Just don't go to a complete halt, and you should be able to get to Shannon in time just fine. Which is kind of the problem I have with this chapter. Once you deal with the dark magic users at the very beginning, there's nothing else in this part of the chapter that you have to fight. All that you have to do is take the arduous journey through the desert with Seliph, as he's forced to just walk to the castle in a very long roundabout way. Now, I know what I said in Chapter 5. Oh, the thing in the desert was for the theming, but that's not the case here. It really feels like they thought you had to save Shannon, but you don't. He's completely fine on his own. So all you do is just waste a fuck ton of time doing absolutely nothing as Seliph goes over to the castle, and it's really fucking boring. I mean, quite honestly, this is making me think we gave the prequels a bad rap, because after having to be in the desert for even this amount of time, I'd kill some fucking kids too, why not? Once you seize the castle, Lewin gives Seliph a speech about good and evil and all that philosophical bullshit, and then the ground somehow terraforms into ledges Seliph can walk down easier, which I ain't gonna fucking complain about that. It makes getting out of there much easier. And now we have the second part of the chapter. A long trek southward with not a lot going on until a fuck ton of things all at once. Now, I'm not as critical to this because this long empty stretch is kind of a part of the enemy plan and story of the chapter. It's not the best, but maybe I'm just more okay with it because I know what it can be like to move 2 tiles at a time and want to fucking die. Once you get close to the castle, the enemy's front line will come to greet you, and all things considered, it is a fairly formidable front line. You got some armor knights, you got some mages, and it's all coming just to make your life miserable. Add on top of that the boss firing at you with bolting, and you take a lot of damage. Now, I know this is where I give some sort of clever strategy, or, something intelligent. However, all you can really do with this part is just pray to God the AI is stupid and doesn't kill units it can easily kill. And wouldn't you know, lucky for us, the AI in Fire Emblem 4 is stupid. Yeah, for whatever reason, Fire Emblem 4 AI really likes to attack Shannon. Not, Lana or Larcey or someone frail, no. They really want to throw themselves at Shannon, a god with a sword that makes him nigh untouchable. Why they do this? I have no idea, but I'm going to profit from it. So basically, as long as you are relatively safe enough, they'll all just run at Shannon and die. I mean, sure, my Larcey was in a little bit of danger, but thankfully the only guy that decided to attack her when she was at 8 HP was a fucking ballista with a 0% chance to hit her. I mean, he was a little confused, but he had the spirit. Once you seize the southern castle, the enemy to the north starts his plan and sends out his boatload of cavalry units to come down and sweep you while you're weakened, quote-unquote, from the bottom forces' assault. Now, I was a little worried about this part because I didn't remember where Ares was exactly, as he is on a horse, and as you know, horse is no good. But Ares starts a safe distance away, and by safe distance I mean 2 tiles, that still scares me, and he's able to go to the south and completely avoid the rest of the cavalry. He's never in danger of accidentally being in combat unless you're an absolute moron. And I am a moron, but not a moron enough to mess up a straight line. While that's going on, to the east we have the introduction of Tiny, no, not that one, the cute little girl. Yeah, there we go, that one. Tiny arrives, and we need to talk to her with Arthur in order to recruit her, and, being the daughter of Lewin, she's going to be a very good asset to our cause, especially because, unlike her brother, she can promote. So we just have to be wary of them too. They don't come at you as quickly as the Cavaliers, obviously, but just keep them in mind and be ready to get them when the time comes. Thankfully, Jabaro's men are a complete pushover, so we can quickly deal with them. They aren't very powerful, they don't have pursuit, they're kinda just walking meat bags of experience, and money if you've got Patty around. So just take care of them, no problem. Make sure you spread the experience around evenly, and it's not too difficult at all to manage. I even have Arthur over there fucking off to the east with the mages, which are kind of a problem. The 3 mage sisters, not that aren't tinny, all can do fairly good damage, but if you have the fucking Forsetti tome, they really aren't that much of a threat. Though, if you didn't have Arthur with Forsetti, you might want to watch out for them, as they actually are able to hurt quite a bit. While you do need to move Seliph up north to seize the castle, you don't actually have to send that many people. Once you wipe out the Cavaliers, there's not that much else up there you have to worry about. So send a bulk of your army east to deal with the Mage Sisters, and send Seliph and 1 or 2 other people to go up north. And don't forget to have Ares up there as well, as we need him to get our dancer, Lean, who is, well, she's a dancer. She's going to be really useful. It's kind of hard for a dancer not to be useful, especially when we're doing stupid stuff like this. Did I make this same joke when we got Sylvia? I don't know, it's been a while. And after that, the rest of the chapter goes fairly swimmingly. We make sure to hit up the arena for those units that we just got this chapter, so Shannon, Patty, Tinny, and all that, and we just move east. There's not much to stop us anymore. It's 3 generals and the boss, and they all are generals, so they all can have Pavice, but as long as you don't get too unlucky with it, it's not actually dangerous, because the generals don't move. Reinforcements do come out of the castle, but it's like 1 guy at a time. You're fine. Just don't get butt-fucked by Pavice. Yeah, Just don't have that happen. I should be saying a joke here, but all that's going through my mind is my anger towards the skill of Pavice. So, head empty. Before we bring this chapter to a close, let's real quick go over the 5 new units we got that we can add to our army. Starting with Shannon, who is a fucking god. His base stats, his growths, the Balmung, he's just going to tear through enemies. And I said this before, but it's really true. The AI really likes to target him, and I have no idea why. So that's something that can come in handy later. Patty is a thief. She'll thieve. When she promotes, she'll kind of fight. Not a whole lot to go into on that one. And then after her, we have Lean, who's a dancer. And there's not much to talk about with her either. She dances. Really great commentary I'm giving you all here. After that, we have Tinny, who is a mage and promotes sadly to mage fighter, I believe, and not outright sage. So, not the best promotion choice, but at least she can actually promote, which is something she has over her silly brother, who gets a horse, and what a mistake that is, am I right? And finally, there's Leaf, who is going to suffer a very similar conundrum to Latchis, whereas he becomes one of the best and most fun units to use if we were allowed to promote him, which we are not. So while I think Leaf's combat stats are good enough to keep him around for a little bit, he'll likely be hitting the castle permanently, and just exist to recruit Altena, who in and of itself is just being recruited to get her out of danger's way. And at that, we have finished Chapter 7. Thank you all so much for watching. I apologize for the long wait, but episodes should be coming at a more regular pace now. Next chapter, we get Fabal and Sed, which, Jesus Christ, that's probably the biggest power spike to our army other than maybe Shannon's fucking existence. So I hope I'll see you all then. Have a wonderful time, and with luck, it won't take 3 months. This was still just 1 month. I don't know why I keep doing that.